Alright everybody, welcome back to another diecastmania model review. Today we're tackling classic construction models, or CCM's Caterpillar D9L in 1/48 scale. Now this model was recently re-released in two different variations, one with the 9S blade and multi-shank ripper, and the other with the 9C push blade and ripper. Production of this model was limited to 600 pieces for the multi-shank ripper and 400 pieces for the push blade. Now what I mean by re-release is this is a refresh of a originally issued tooling back from 2013. In that year, Classic Construction Models issued three different versions of the D9L, one being a tractor pulling a pull scraper, the 631E, a enclosed cab version with the impact ripper and U-blade, as well as an open cab version with the push blade and a push block at the rear. And now a little bit on the real machine. Following the success of the original D10 in the late 1970s, Caterpillar was looking for a worthy successor for the legendary D9H. Taking design aspects from the original D10, the D9L was released soon after. Continuing the momentum set in place by the original D10, the D9L added to what Caterpillar referred to as the new shape of value, ushering in the age of the high-track Caterpillar tractor as we know it. Now for some very baseline specs, the D9L is powered by a Caterpillar 3412 turbocharged diesel engine which delivers 460 horsepower. Now the D9L weighs around 45 to 49 tons based on the configuration, and roughly stands about 13 feet tall. It is 10 feet 6 inches wide and roughly 17 feet 9 inches long. Now heading right into the review, the blade functionality on this model is pretty nice. It'll raise to a good extent and clear the ground by quite a bit. It tilts decently, although it makes a really horrible noise that makes it sound like something's going to break. And you have a bit of blade depression as well for a decent cut. Once you lower the ripper all the way, you can elevate the tractor off the ground like this. Now the version of the D9L with the push blade, or cushion blade as it's also called, has somewhat more limited range of motion. Though the blade does raise and lower as expected, the inner frame between the tracks that the blade is attached to seems a little more fragile, so it's probably wise to use more care when adjusting the blade on this version. At the opposite end of the D9 is the ripper assembly. Now, opposite it is. In terms of functionality, it is a complete contrast to the blade. Whereas the blade is able to raise to a quite decent extent, the ripper is only capable of lowering to a ripping depth. If you want to display the ripper in any other configuration than ripping your shelf into pieces, you're pretty much out of luck. As you can see here, it barely raises at all.
Well, maybe just enough to slide a piece of paper underneath.
For anyone hoping the single shank ripper fared any better, hate to say it, but it doesn't. As you can see, the ripper functionality is just about the same. It rips pretty decently, but in the end it fails to raise. So what we have is a different ripper, same problem.
However, the single shank does have one advantage. Pulling out the slightly oversized pin results in being able to remove the shank and reposition it. In this case here, we can see the ripper in its longest length possible, which actually lifts the rear of the tractor off the ground. Now we can see the model quite obviously has rolling metal tracks, which actually function pretty nicely. Taking a closer look at the undercarriage, we can notice features such as the sprung idler and the pivoting track frames. The frames themselves are pinned to the equalizer bar attached to the bottom of the dozer, which allows for movement on each side. Using the factory supplied pick, we can open the doors on either side of the cab, which fit quite nicely. And inside the cab we'll find the standard details expected from CCM. Another thing captured well on this model is the decaling. Now, as you can see, the D9L and the Pac-Man logo, as well as various warning decals replicated nicely throughout the model. And here you can see some engine and radiator fan detailing. On the back of the model, you can see a nice mass of hydraulic lines. There's some more of those metal handrails, as well as more engine detailing visible on the side, as well as a nice metal perforated grille on the front. Now, all things considered, the D9Ls by Classic Construction Models are a worthy addition to any Caterpillar collection. Whether you choose the S-Blade and Triple Shank Ripper, or the Push Blade and Single Shank Ripper, these models are a very nice representation of a legendary Caterpillar machine. With all that being said, it's just about time to wrap up this review. Hope to see you all in the next video. And as always, thanks for watching.